Hey, good evening. I'm so glad you're here. It's really cold here in Leesburg, Virginia, but I hope wherever you are warm and you are enjoying your evening. And I'm here to talk about rejection and self compassion tonight. And I want to give a shout out to my nephew who's been working with me. He's my TA, my little bit of everything, editor. He's been such a big help to me. So big shout out to Joel for that. I want to provide an atmosphere of safety where we can talk about these topics, and if people have questions or their own experiences, they can put those um, in the comment section. Okay. Also, too, I want to give a shout out to the country of Iceland tonight. If you've been watching the news around the Blue Lagoon, the Grindavik area, they were having literally 1,000 earthquakes a day, and now it's down to 300, which seems unbelievable. But they're hoping there will not be a volcanic eruption. It's looking much better. So, but a big shout out to Iceland, a place that I went to last year and just loved it. And a shout out to you guys for being here tonight. It's really exciting that we're doing this tonight. So, rejection is a universal experience, experienced literally by everybody. I don't know who hasn't had rejection in their life or how to cope with it, but it can really echo in our mind for days, weeks, months, and for some people for years. And it can just echo and echo and echo. Um, so we can have a job rejection or a friendship rejection or a relationship rejection or a dream not coming to fruition, and can experience those voices of rejection. It can be so powerful. Today we're going to delve into understanding a bit of these voices, and more importantly, discovering how to cope and thrive in the face of rejection. So the voices of rejection, they sound like self-doubt in our minds. They sound like criticism, and and they're very negative thoughts. What's important is not to buy into those thoughts, because those are not a reflection of your worth by any stretch of the imagination, but they're rather a natural part of the human experience that we all experience. We all face rejection. It does not define us. Absolutely not. So those voices of rejection are a human experience, and they just do not define reality. Okay? They do not define your worth. Okay? So rejection is not a roadblock, it's a redirection. And it's important to embrace those lessons and to learn from it. I wanted to share an experience that I had a while back. I was in a job that I was feeling like it wasn't going anywhere, and I was really anxious to get out and find something different, and explore a new path. And I had heard of a job with a different company agency, and I applied for it and thought for sure I would be a shoe in for it. And had all my friends who were professionals. They signed that they would be my, a reference for me and that type of thing. Well, next thing I know, it was crickets. I didn't hear anything. And I thought, well, I'll wait a little bit longer. No, nothing at all. And I heard that they hired somebody else, and I was just dumbfounded, and I was angry about it. And actually, I was angry for 6 months. Can you believe that? So, but what I learned was this experience of what happened, because in 6 months, that program that I applied for, they closed their doors. And if I had gone, I would have been out a career path that I was currently on and out of a job, I'm sure. Um, so sometimes when we are rejected, it's like the universe is really trying to protect us. And that changed me. I started to take a look at rejection entirely differently. and began to think that maybe I'm being protected in ways that I just don't understand. So I want to give you some 5 tips on dealing with rejection. Number one is acknowledging and validating that your feelings are valid. Okay, it's important to acknowledge that you feel hurt, you feel disappointed, you feel upset after a rejection. Allow yourself to acknowledge and validate these emotions. Give yourself the time and space to process what you're feeling. Now, I must say, with that, it's really not normal to feel bitterness and resentment for years and years and years and hold grudges towards people for things or experiences for things. That's not healthy either. But we also do want to go ahead and allow ourselves that space to grieve, to our space to, allow ourselves to feel those feelings and feel the disappointment. The second thing we want to do is we want to reframe our negative thoughts. We want to challenge those negative thoughts, like if the thoughts that I'm not good enough or I'm not bright enough, uh, those things, we want to reframe it by saying, I am resilient and I am capable of overcoming challenges. We want to reframe it like that and give ourselves a positive mindset towards that experience. The third is we want to seek support. Talk to your friends. Talk to a support group if you need to. Let them know what you're going through. What have they gone through? What has been their experiences? And, get that help through them as well. Fourthly, is we want to learn and grow from it. What is that rejection telling us? What are we learning from it? And that's a good way to look at it. It's a good way to say, let me self-reflect on this, let me grow from it. Ask yourself what you can learn from the experience and how you can apply this lesson to future endeavors. And what I learned from my experiences, sometimes I'm protected in ways that I just maybe didn't understand. And so that's an important lesson. Okay. The fifth thing is to control what you can control. Focus on what you can control. A lot of times like my experience, I didn't even get a call, and, but it took me a long time, but eventually what I could do was adjust my attitude and my efforts and continue to self-improve and to learn from that. So that's something that's very important. It's us taking back that control instead of staying in that rejection. Um, so I want to talk just a couple minutes about uh, rejection and social anxiety, which is what my program is about. They go hand in hand, as you can imagine. Uh, the universal experience of rejection and the unique challenges of handling perceived rejection um, go with managing social anxiety. Um, it presents a real landscape that's complex and with emotions and thoughts. Um, and so, as we all know, social anxiety can make everyday interactions feel like a daunting task with the fear of judgment and rejection looming. We can perceive rejection before we get to something. We can begin to imagine that we're going to be rejected. And that is just as powerful as actually experiencing rejection, okay, because we end up believing it. So, so it's important to recognize that perceived rejection is often a result of distorted thinking patterns of social anxiety. These thoughts are absolutely not accurate, and they don't reflect anxiety, or excuse me, they don't reflect reality, and they are a reflection of anxiety thoughts. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of tips. One is self-compassion. That is huge. It's so important to give ourselves self-compassion, and it's so important to be kind to ourselves, to understand that everybody makes social missteps. Everybody's learning and growing. I truly believe this experience we have on this planet is a school. We are here to learn, and it's okay to not be perfect. We want to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. And the second one is to challenge negative assumptions. With social anxiety, there's many assumptions of thinking the worst of how people perceive us. Challenging our perceptions can really start to break that thought pattern. So we could ask ourselves, are there really concrete reasons to believe that I'm being rejected? Or is this just a product of my anxiety? And that's a good self check on that. The third thing we want to do is gradual exposure to help us to desensitize. If we fear we're going to be rejected by somebody, start small, take small steps, reach out to that person, maybe telephone them, maybe email them, just start to get a sense of that person, take those small steps, take a step towards talking with them in a small way. That's going to be that gradual exposure. So, and then you want to celebrate all your small successes because they lead to your victory, okay? The fourth thing is mindfulness and grounding techniques can really help us with, um, uh, with social anxiety and with the fear of rejection. So, one grounding technique that I really like is the four things. You say there's four things I see, and you take a look around the room. In my room right now, in my office, I see a lamp. I see actually three lamps. I see a bureau. I see my laptop. I see my microphone. So, and I hear the heat going on. So there's three things I hear. I hear the heat going on, and I hear that sound all around me. I hear myself talking, and I can hear. What else do I hear? Hmm. Oh, I hear some clicking. Okay. So, uh, and then there's two things I smell, and I have my cup of coffee that I was showing you earlier, and I have peppermint mocha in it, which is one of my favorite flavors. That's in it, and then I can taste that one in my mouth. So there's two things, and then the last thing is uh, smelling. What is something I smell? Or excuse me, what is something I'm tasting? And I am tasting my coffee. Okay. So that's something you can do as a grounding technique when you're feeling upset, and just to sit with yourself and say, what are four things I hear, three things I see, two things I smell, one thing that I taste. And that can really help relax us. And lastly, is to not forget to talk to somebody. That's so important. What have other people experienced? And again, my hope is that this will be a safe space for people, that we can talk about social anxiety. And I've made it very clear that I've had social anxiety and continue to work on myself all the time. Um, but we want to remember that social anxiety and rejection doesn't define us. Those thoughts are not our true worth by any stretch of the imagination. And perceived rejection doesn't reflect reality. It just doesn't. Okay. So we have the power to challenge those thoughts and build resilience, and we do that by challenging our fears. Okay. And I want to share with you a challenge that I had today, because I've been having trouble with the technology part of Facebook. And I have a coaching group that I refer to, and I really thought it was a dumb question to ask, but I asked them today what was going on with the site of people not getting posts. And sure enough, I thought maybe, it would be considered silly, or I was the only one, but no, it's quite a common issue. So then after that, everybody piped in that, yeah, they were also having some issues, and it's pretty common. So I was real pleased with myself for doing that. So instead of just letting it go. So I hope that this was helpful. We have another minute or two if you wanted to write a comment, ask a question. I'm here, you know. Also, too, I want to remind you that if you haven't joined yet Escape Social Anxiety, please do so. The program is coming out very soon, and I'm getting really excited about it very much. You can find me on Escape Social Anxiety. You can direct message me there. You can also email me at ruthkb81@gmail.com. Well, I don't see that we have any questions. So I'm going to say good night for now. I'm so glad you joined. Thanks for being here. And I love doing this. I'm just hoping that it reaches the people that need to be reached. And I look forward to seeing you the next time. Good night.